Hello everyone, let's talk about ovarian cysts today. If you watched my other video about gallstones, this is kind of the second part or the first part because I also have an ovarian cyst. So for those who don't know me, my name is Laura Ray. I am a health coach, a personal trainer, and a nutritionist. I work in the Warrior Room, and I am also the host of the Wellness of Madness podcast. And now I'm a yoga instructor too, so yay. So I'm also diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome, obsessive compulsive disorder, and anxiety, generalized anxiety. And wellness is my game. That is what I do. But I'm talking about how tough this year has been with health issues and, to be precise, gallstones and an ovarian cyst. So again, if you want to know a little bit more about the gallstones, go ahead and check out the other video that I did all about the gallbladder and the gallstones and my pain management, diagnosis, and so on. So let's get into ovarian cysts. Unlike my gallstones, this problem pretty much arose this year. However, I guess it has been around for a very long time. I dare say about 15 years. So, a long time ago when I was in junior high, I had gotten beat up several times. Got my booty whooped a lot of times. Wasn't the coolest cat. So for a very long time, I had some pain on my left ovary, and I always thought it was because of the beatings. You know, I got hit with a bat there, and I also got kicked a couple times, and I really always thought it was because of that. So when I was 14, 15, I was in Mexico, and they went in and just checked my ovaries, and they were like, nah, everything seems, fine, like, nothing crazy. But the pain persisted. So it was mainly every time I ovulated from that ovary. So about every 2 to 3 months, I would have pain on my left side, very stabby. And as the years went by, it got worse. I wouldn't sometimes be able to walk. I knew that if the pain was there, I had to take the day off because I could not walk. So I want to say that around 2014 maybe, I went and got a transvaginal ultrasound, and they found fibroids. They were like, oh, you have a couple fibroids. Shouldn't be a big deal. They're very little. They shouldn't even be causing you pain. And I was like, yeah, okay, I guess. Back then, I wasn't asking all the questions. I hadn't gone to school yet, where I learned a lot as well of anatomy and everything else. And I didn't ask questions. I just said, okay. It was kind of weird that they didn't give me anything, or that was it. If you guys know about women's health, that is a big issue. So I went on with my life. In 2019, I started working at a gym as a trainer, and I started lifting more weight and doing a lot more of high intensity interval training. And I started having those pains again. And even though they had never really gone away, it was a little bit more persistent this time. Instead of every 2 or 3 months, I would have it like once a month at least, like 1 day, 2 days out of the month. And my wonderful coaches, which I still work with, Coach Hammond and Coach John from the Warrior Room, they were so sweet because they knew that if I was having one of those days where it hurt, they'd be like, just, leave the floor, just go deal with it. We're fine, always covered for me. But to be honest, it was really tough because already being a woman in fitness and at a gym environment, I don't want to be set back from certain biological things that I can't control, Even I was the kind of person that even on my period, I'm like, I don't care, I'm going to work out, I'm going to do this. I could do the same thing the boys can. Yes, you can, but you got to listen to your body and you got to know what's going on. So 2020 comes around, and everyone has had quite a transitional year. During the beginning part of the year in February, I had a loss in my family, and it was a very unexpected loss, very tough. And I suffered my first ruptured cyst. At that point, I didn't know what was going on. All I knew was that I was in severe pain. So I was actually out of California. I was in Kentucky, and I felt a pain I had never felt before. Horrible, excruciating pain right on my ovary and all my entire pelvic area. So I was scared, but at first I was like, well, it's not appendicitis, that would be on the other side. It could be radiating pain, but I knew that I had pain before in my left ovary. So I just assumed maybe it was the fibroids or something else that they had, told me. So dealt with it. When I came back, I went to the doctor, and I went to actually a women's clinic, and they did a transvaginal ultrasound, and they immediately told me you had a ruptured cyst. So it looks like you have 3 cysts I had the one that had ruptured, and I had free fluid in my system, which was also why it was so painful. I had 2 other cysts, right? So come March, I have a second loss in the family, my grandmother, who was my superhero. So that was very tough, very tough. And I suffered my second ruptured cyst. So again, it could have been the emotional state I was in. It could have been the weights that I was carrying at that time, all the exercise, or it could have just been time for it to burst, and it did. And again, excruciating pain. End up in the ER again, and they tell me, you know what? One of those, the second cyst that you have bursted. So now from 3 cysts, I'm left with 1 and 2 burst cysts. The first cyst that had burst was already, the free fluid was gone, but now I had more free fluid from the second cyst. So again, a lot of pain. So at this point, I'm like, what do we do? And they were very kind, I must say. They were phenomenal. And they were like, you know what? We know this is horrible pain. This is different treatments we can give you. I had never taken birth control ever. So they gave me that as an option. And at that time, that second ultrasound, they said, hey, so that third cyst, because I was like concerned about when is the other one going to rupture? They're like, that third cyst seems to be a mass, which is not a word anyone wants to hear. And they're like, it could be a dermoid cyst. I had no idea what a dermoid cyst was at that point. Never heard of it, didn't know. So it turns out it could be a cyst that has matter in it. It could have teeth, it can have hair, it can have birth cells, it could have fragments of lung particles, and basically it's been in you the entire time or since you were born, which is pretty crazy. And we'll talk more about the science in another video. But I was like, oh wow, that's super crazy, right? That's what's going on. So I'm sorry that I got my time wrong. My first one was in February, and I had that loss in March, but the second rupture wasn't around till, I think it was May. I'm sorry, I got that timeline wrong. So around May is when I had that rupture. So now I'm in May, and I'm like, man, we are in full, COVID run. We had lost our jobs because our gym closed. And we had just started a new business, the Warrior Room, in April, because we needed a hustle, and we had our clients, and we moved them over online, and it was wonderful. So I still had to work, I was like, oh man, what do I do? So I kept going to the clinic, and they kept, making sure that everything was okay and figuring out what I could do. They're like, look, so your dermoid cyst was like about 3 centimeters, 2.7 centimeters or something. Then it grew to about 4 centimeters. They're like, well, it's growing, which is, not good. And the only option, if it is causing you pain, is to remove it. And it was causing me pain. It was causing me pain when I ovulated more than anything, even though my periods were pretty normal. I'm blessed with good periods. I got 3 days, and only the middle days really painful, but it's not even that bad. But ovulation pain was horrible. It was absolutely nuts. It was horrible. My back would go out, could barely move. And pain after sex, which is really important to know, okay? Because I had never, ever had any pain during sex. Love sex, wonderful thing, had never had an issue with it. And I started having an issue, I want to say, around 2018, but without realizing it. I was like, oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was a position, maybe it just hurt, right? But then it got worse. And worse and worse and worse. And after sex, it would be actually really painful. And then during sex would be painful. And that's why I was like, there's something going on. So it looks like this little bugger was causing a lot of that pain. So it's really important to know that it is not normal to have pain during sex or after sex. You need to get checked. So around the beginning of August, I go, you know what? Let's get it out. I'll go with surgery. They explain it's laparoscopic surgery. I can never say the word, but it's a laparoscopic surgery. So basically a couple of incisions. They go in there. They remove the cyst. So I go, yeah, let's do it. At this point, my cyst is about 5 centimeters or so, and I'm booked for September 8th, and I say, let's go. August 30th, I get a horrible pain that wakes me up. Turns out I have gallstones. You can see that on the other videos. So I had to cancel my surgery. So this was in a women's clinic. I end up going to Kaiser. Long story. But now I'm in Kaiser, and they're like, okay, so you're going to be scheduled for twitches. You're going to be scheduled for gallbladder surgery on the 29th of October. Let's go check up on the cyst and see how it's doing, because my gynecologist at that point said, let's try birth control to see if it does anything to it, to see if it shrinks it and to avoid later on any cysts. I had never taken birth control. I did not want to take it because I'm not a fan of taking any kind of medication if I can avoid it. But I said, you know what, at this point, sure. So I started Lutera, which has been phenomenal, by the way. I hadn't had any weird symptoms or anything. It's been great. So she's like, all right, come back in October and let's see how it's doing. So I come back, and unfortunately, it is now 6 centimeters. It has not shrunk. Nothing has happened to it. So she goes, you're going to need surgery. You know, if it's causing you pain, and we usually recommend that when a cyst is 6 centimeters or more to remove it. I said, sure. Problem is, I don't want 2 surgeries. I've never had a surgery before, and I don't want 2 recoveries. Amazingly enough, they were able to, my wonderful gynecologist, Dr. Lee, and my wonderful surgeon, general surgeon, Dr. Fang, were able to schedule and come together and do a co-procedure. I'm blessed, especially during COVID times and all of these situations, they're able to do a co-procedure. So my surgery is coming up on Monday, November 23rd. They canceled the one for the 29th of October, gave me a double procedure on the 23rd. I don't know who's going first, but the gallbladder surgery should be about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And the ovarian cyst surgery should be an hour or a little bit more. So I'm expecting to be under an hour and a half to 2 hours if everything goes well. Which it should. And yeah, that's what it's going to be. So like I said, it is my first surgery. I'm rather nervous. I wouldn't say nervous. I'm very excited because I want to do it. But like anything, it's still surgery. So it's still a little nerve-wracking, and that's okay. I'm not scared about the scars. I really don't care about the scars. It looks like I'm going to have about 3 incisions in the top for the gallbladder and another 3 or 4 incisions in the bottom. So I'm definitely going to have a lot of incisions going on. As they tell you, if they need to make the cut bigger, they might have to. So how they explained with the ovarian surgery is that she's basically going to go in and peel the left ovary to remove the cyst. Now, the issue is that if everything goes well, and they always try to remove the cyst safely, perfect, but there might not be much ovary left, or it might bleed, and then they would have to remove the ovary. I'm hoping I get to keep my ovary, simply because it's my ovary. It's a piece of me. I don't want to lose more organs. And, you know, I want a family, and it makes it a little bit easier when you have 2 ovaries. But we will see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully everything goes well. That is what the surgery is going to look like. For anyone out there, though, I want to tell you, trust your body. If you know there's something wrong, you have to go get it checked out. It's not normal to have excruciating pains. It's not normal to have excruciating periods. It's not normal to have excruciating ovulation, and it's not normal to have pain during sex or after sex, guys. And I know that women's health is something that we don't talk about as much. You know, I have aunts and my mom and cousins and stuff that just deal with pain because they're like, well, I guess it's just pain of being a woman. No, it's not. Go get checked out. And if they tell you fibroids and cysts, get all the information, and also fight for your rights to, if you want surgery, to get the surgery as well, okay? And very important, it's Western medicine, and also the doctors are not magicians, so they don't know what's happening. So from now on, when I go to the doctor, I make a list and I scan my body from my toes to my head. What hurts anywhere, the location, what kind of pain, and what I want done. Even if I say, hey, I have pain here, I want an ultrasound, and they go like, you don't need one, I want one. I want to get an ultrasound, you know, and you just got to keep pushing, and you got to get all your questions answered. And it doesn't matter what you seem like. If you're like, oh, I'm just nagging and nagging, this is your body, this is your life, you deserve to do that. So don't hold back, just get in there. And it, you know, it's okay too. I want to say that I was going through like not knowing if it was endometriosis. I was diagnosed with adenomyosis. So I could have endometriosis. I'm not sure. I'm hoping not. But the way I found a lot of information, aside from reading everything I could, was going, you know, YouTube videos and Instagram videos and Facebook support groups. And it's so important, this sense of community. When we have something going on, who knows better than a gallbladder, you know, support group where they're all going through the same thing, and an ovarian cyst support group where they're all going through the same thing. And that's why I'm making this video, because what makes me feel really courageous about surgery and feel fine about it and let's go do it is because maybe someone is in the same boat I am, and I want to go through this so that I can tell you guys, hey, this is how it was. You can do this to help yourself out and everything else. Diet is very important. Movement is very important, but you also have to know when you have to rest and when you also need help with your diet. Make sure you get to a dietitian or a nutritionist. It's so important that we take care of ourselves and that we know when something's wrong to go and get your questions answered, and to know that we're not alone. So, women out there talking about these things that we weren't talking about before is so important. Women's health, ovarian health is so important. So I will keep you guys posted. Surgery is November 23rd, and I hope to have more videos like this about recovery and post-surgery. For now, if you think I'm cool or you like me, go ahead and follow me or subscribe or do all that stuff. And you guys have an awesome day. Thanks for listening to me for about 15 minutes. I appreciate it.